So that, is that what causes it basically? Okay.
I checked mine, I still got one trap I got one links. Three guys. Good problem. Thanks to like nursery. It's hard to have that problem. Be like, well, there's just lights. Well, how you? Yeah, well, most times they separate.
I think that I was no, that's awesome. We have to. Thank you. My husband is this too. So I was like, well, I'll go and try to work on
This is the truth.
Okay, well, that's good enough there. I haven't really made it on a few areas like where got tree area, but we can go to a pasture area and get evening shadow. Right. And how close, because the tree area that I have at the house is getting one. It's like right. Do I move that close? Yeah. Well, that's going to be cool, so I thought, in the pasture, you're actually perfect. So that's why I was like, maybe if I put that there, I bring to them. On the words they can like, the vibrations, so I'm like, I don't know if they would. Just something every year. I do swell up. Okay. So just make sure. Right. Follow everybody on that. Like I've seen a lot of that. A lot of people have really
I'm kidding. I remember you too. Yes, sir. Oh, they can be clean. Oh, yeah. What? Oh, nice.
I'm not within years.
They can be busy. Yeah.
That part, I'll make it.
You have a string ball or you have I have
Yes.
a coffee. So
Yeah.
we're starting out in the string. But I know. In the summertime,
They may tell.
If anyone who is getting busy, lighting a smoke, it's starting outside right now. Yeah.
Hey, Luke. Hey, Jay, how you doing? Figured you saw that bar announcement. I I didn't know you lived there, so I saw that car.
Yeah, I came to look at it. And, it's on
You did sell it. That's good. Sometime I might want you to come down to our house and watch it. You know, so just help us look at them and see if I think Ron will take a look at it. We'll get with him. Give it a by. Make some suggestions to make sure we're doing all right. Maybe you come to our house on the same day. We'll buy it. Can you come to his house on Brogan Road? He's right down the road from me. We'll check both of them. This is Will. He was a driver's ed for a long time. He's in my class. He lives about maybe 2 or 3 miles down the road. Thank you, Ron. We'll walk out here.
a second, I follow.
I was saying, you're talking outside. I like the smoke. We'll walk out here. Sounds good. Thank you.
I called a couple of packages from Al last year.
Yeah.
And one of them fizzled out.
Yeah.
And I've got another box. It's not like it should be, and I don't know how to straighten it out. I like to split it. Well, I think I was looking for the claim last week, the one that originated this package, she must have died, because I cannot find the mark clean anywhere in it, but I do have eggs, so I got to clean it.
That's super sweet, that's clean, pretty good.
So I like maybe find a clean and mark it, and if I can split it.
You take a look at
I'm retired. I think Jamie, I think is still working.
yeah, well, I think because it's still early Friday.
Okay, but I'm available. But I took packages for citizen.
Good. I'm at Beekeepers. Yes.
That's fine. And like I said, if I can split that box. And, you know, I might look at my- I think it's like the goods room, so,
That's good. That is,
yeah. I live a couple miles out of Rock.
you know, before you get it checked.
Yeah.
Hey, Mitch.
It's where I'm gonna sign it, I guess.
Oh, really? Oh, we got to sign it. Oh, we
It's
got
where
to-
it's where she told me to sit.
Oh,
Will Sanders.
As a.
Yes. 30, I got 22.
My middle child, he lives just. He bought a home too, so he helped me take my house.
was gone for one, and that's pretty scary.
It's not scary, you're the one attending the meeting, so you'll never know. Oh, what are they doing? I do, but I'm always up for new ideas and new tips and tricks.
I started getting toilet paper rolls and stuff. We
Yeah.
full-time job. Yeah,
Put them in on Saturday, check it out
Extreme.
I guess you had already taken me
Yeah, no, they're. The neighbors took it over. And, I was showing, he wanted to see what. We're looking at this friend, holding with the light, trying to, because you gotta get out with the shade of the sun. So like, okay, we think we found eggs, right? We're good. We went into a red mini with plastic foundation, and they never laid egg, you know, never, right? Pull that thing out. I mean, yeah, it was like, okay, well, that's what it, like, okay, well, that's what it looks like. That, but I mean, I don't know, that frame was gonna be right there.
They got me.
So you grab it. You did you grab?
I didn't do any material.
Yeah.
Questions right now. Later that.
They're off my front page. They're on.
See that.
Yeah, still off of that? No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So your F1 got made, she picked up some of those drones and then, so the F2 would have had that.
You need more?
You grabbed them? Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you trying. I'll keep up there.
All right.
I mean, my turn next time.
You get a package. You just
I get the bird next time. Start flipping stuff around. We go everywhere. I put it on.
Didn't mess anything up.
I know. In your room, but it's
One little
much honey stored up?
How are you?
I've only got a limited number of boxes.
They wouldn't stay. Well, we got a bunch down here. You got Brian. Frank and I were doing this evening. He pulled out some coffee. Go ahead and do it. I can't. We got one. Get your student right here. Yeah. the main thing you have to do, I only do 10 a week, doing about 10 a week. I mean, with other things that we need, I've done 4 cycles of 3. Probably squeeze them in 3. 4 sounds better. That's 40. 10 weeks. Yard. Do the graph, weekly graph. But I think it's close.
First off, I have a question. How many people have your cell phone? Can you make sure to silence it? We're gonna start doing that. I appreciate that. So, always at the beginning of our meetings, we do a pledge of allegiance. So, please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This time of year, there's a lot of beginning school classes to start, and so that builds our membership along with the springtime, and people just curious about these, and they find out we have a bee club. So what I like to do is go from the left, my left, to right, your right side, and find out who are you to our club, and also I'd like you to tell us your name and what part of the county or neighboring counties you live in.
My name is Jonathan. We're from the East Crossroads area. And I'm my first nuke from you on Saturday, so here as much as I can.
And let's go to that table here. Any new beekeepers? Yes?
My name is Margaret Carter, and I live here in Johnston.
And go next.
My name is Michael Webb. This is my little wall. You live in Johnson County. I can see Johnson County in my house.
Okay, that works.
And I'm getting 2 weeks.
2 minutes. I appreciate it.
Braden O'Brien, I'm Clayton.
I'm sorry.
I'm Braden O'Brien, I'm Clayton.
Brady O'Brien, these are the clay. Okay, this front table, any new ones? Any beekeepers?
Yeah, my grandpa and I'm Mallie,
Hey, down my.
Pete Johnson,
Okay,
and he's getting his in 2 weeks, so,
and what area of the county?
oh, Johnson
Just
County.
in the county, right? Okay. And let's see.
I'm Terry, and I live in Clayton.
Okay. A lot of people are Clayton. Okay, let's go to the back table.
I'm Josh, I'm from the jail here.
Oh, great.
I live in Middlesex.
Okay, so you work with Matthew on that, or Jason? Thank you, Jason. And okay. What's your first name? Lou. Okay. Okay, well, we appreciate it.
I'm Deborah, and I'm also from Clayton, kind of out towards Arthur Lodge area.
Okay,
So, and I'm in 2 weeks on Saturday.
great. Appreciate it. Okay, so that's, I mean, 8, 2. We appreciate y'all coming. And any input you have to make the club better, the board's open to ideas. So you're lucky tonight. And maybe you didn't come prepared with questions, but maybe you can think of some questions. We're gonna have, I think a panel of 6 people up here answer questions from the general audience. It's kind of a continuation of the B class that we did back in February 25th. So by now, you've probably either been in bees with somebody else's bees, maybe read stuff online, and maybe you got a little confused, or any questions that you have. Our board, our panel up here will be able to hopefully answer it. I think that it's going to be a lot of people with a lot of experience. Let's see. So Chris is the president of Wake County Club. Which end of this? Where do you want to sit? You'll sit in the middle. Hurry up. Chris teaches the JCCB school along with, he's president of the club. Journey. Okay. Ron Lassiter. Ron was this your 17th?
17 years, yeah.
So, mostly I picked from the people who helped about these. So let's see, John's our president. He's actually responsible for the apiary that it wouldn't exist out here if we hadn't done extra business. Worked with the ag center to get it out here. Along with that, he's working to get the building put up. Pretty much any events that you go to. He worked really hard on that. Daniel was our instructor for beekeeping equipment. And how many hives do you have then? 6. That's 6. And you've been keeping 4 years. So oh, and he also has horizontal hives. If you have horizontal hive questions. Then we got to Rick. Rick is half of our apiary team. He and Hannah manage the apiary right now. And if we want to hear, we're doing a good job. How many hives do you have? 8. He's got 8 right now. And 4 years.
My second year.
This is his 2nd year. Some people learn really fast. A lot of it's because they come and participate in this apiary inspections, or else they've got friends that help them do their hives. And one more seed. May, she taught our bee biology. So May, I've been keeping bees 10 years. 10 years. And how many you got?
11.
She's got 11.
She has a flow hive as well.
Oh, she
Yeah,
also has
question
a
about
flow hive. So if you got questions on the flow hives, major person, horizontal hives, Daniel. So let's see.
How's the format gonna go?
Let me do.
Only thing I ask is y'all speak loud and we'll reply loud, and I'll let Al just pick people.
Let's start. Maybe I'm going to go around the tables, and then once we complete, we can go back. If you thought of a question again, we're going to do about 40 minutes. About 40 minutes. So this table over here first. Any questions?
Hold on. What is the best thing y'all found for water source?
It's a water source.
That's not your neighbor's pool.
He's asking,
The bees like,
what's the best source of water that anybody's found to supply their bees?
water, they like dirty water. Pond, creek, set up a bird bath. I don't know, what do y'all suggest?
Well, I don't have it as anything I've used yet, but I did go to a conference. And there was a guy that kept bees, and it's apparently super hot, super dry there. So he fills up a giant, what amounts to a 55-gallon drum water, it's off-site, it's got a truck of water in it. And then it's coming out of the 55-gallon drum into what amounts to a separate bowl. But then on top of the water is like a screen, so then that's, just a giant air squeeze to land. And then if you can imagine the inside of your toilet bowl valve, that float valve, so when the water gets low in the bowl, it cuts the water on to let more out of the barrel. And so that bowl with a screen line in it is constantly refreshed from the drum, so you can load it in bulk. And I thought that was a really smart idea for somewhere where you keep bees that don't have anything nearby and lets you load it all up, and not have to constantly add water to the first batch.
I have a hot tub and I found that occasionally, because the top wasn't down as tightly as it should, they were finding their ways into the sides. And then when I opened the cover to use it, I find dead bees floating around in there. So I got a large net and I put it over it and just tie it down while I'm not using the hot tub. But I make sure it's because they don't have their own water source. We now have a water feature. It's a little water fountain that's in the middle of the yard and it runs down the sides, and the bees perches onto the little stones and they drink the water that way. And that secondary feature I have is a bird bath, and I fill it with pebbles that stick out of the water so they have something to land on without drowning. And you'll see they skim over the top, their feet are tasting the water. Don't clean the bird bath, don't bother about it being perfectly sparkly clean. They like it with dead leaves and anything else that falls in it and moss and whatever, they like that. So, if it's a little bit fouled up, they like that. So that's what they go to.
Okay. I do have one point to add to the water thing, and it's not necessarily water. May brought something to my attention one year. She said that her bees like salt. The horse piece of thing you buy for salt licks.
Salt lick.
So did a little reading on it. Bees need nutrition in addition to the water. So that's a good idea. Okay, let's go to table 2. Yes.
I've got a question for each of you, and maybe you can choose which one, but if you had to start over tomorrow from scratch, what would you do differently than you did when you actually started?
Everything's perfect, right?
I would not buy any pine boxes. I'd buy cypress because the boxes I bought in 2018 are starting to rot, even though they're well painted and everything in the corners. And then there's always some spot in there where, the meddlers I used to work with down at Brunswick plant when I was at the power company told me that when you paint it, you put 2 coats on because first coat would have thousands and thousands of holes in it. And the second coat would have thousands and thousands of holes in it, but you hope they wouldn't line up. And in this case, apparently some of them lined up. The boxes are starting to rot. And I think either the boxes I dipped in wax paraffin and rosin or the actual cypress boxes. You're going to invest that money, and now I'm out 6 years from when I restarted beekeeping, and I'm seeing the failures now. I'm going to have to replace the boxes. It's not worth repairing.
For me, that's the only thing I think I did that I wouldn't want to do again. All of it is a learning thing. So I don't worry too much about the stuff I did that I don't do anymore. But I tried to be foundation free because of reading various books and stuff. And that was a pretty big disaster. So I just go ahead and use foundation for everything now.
Do you use plastic or wax or have preference?
Well, I only am using wax in the honeysuckles, and I'm using plastic in the deep brood box almost only because I can knock 100 out, boom, boom, boom. But I don't mind at all spending some time putting wax in and getting better, I think, a better result with wax.
I think the thing I would change it, my beekeeping
I would have started about 40, 50 years earlier. And I would have tractor trailers going to California for almond pollination, this kind of thing. I think I would have liked to have been a commercial beekeeper if I'd started a lot earlier in my career. I am 70 years old and I've learned the graph, so anybody can do it. Half old, half blind man can graph, you can.
I started with 2 hives, and I think the most valuable thing out of everything was that I took every opportunity I could, whether I had to drive to someone else's house or whatever, just to help out, help that beekeeper do what they do on a daily basis for the, not daily basis, but whatever they do for their hives. I wanted to help them do it. I was eager to work with other people, just so that my comfort level would improve, because I was like, really, it was so foreign to me. Bees, I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't want to mess it up. So working with other beekeepers and having them mentor me back was extremely valuable. It built my confidence. They let me understand, help me learn a lot and get better, a lot more to think about and appreciate about the bees. And bees are miraculous. They're just incredible. Once you get to learn as much as you do about them, you are like shocked at how much they know and how much there is to know about bees. It's not an easy, simple, cut and dry thing. I've been doing bees 10 years and I am still, and I'm sure people have been doing it longer than me, still learning.
Probably, because I'm still fairly new at this, but the one thing I would probably change I would go with just one size body, probably mediums all the way across. You can stack them, and that way I don't have to have mediums and deeps and different size frames. I can tell you from working the egg area here, which I know this is a different situation, but we've got 10 frames and 8 frames and 5 frames and deeps and mediums and shallows. And some folks will put a shallow in a deep in a heartbeat, and then you've got a mess, and you know what that is. But that would be my only thing. So I've only got one size to worry about. I would have better prepared my wife for how much beekeeping was going to take over. Started with 2 hives. Last year I had 9. And when you go to overwinter, there's a lot of boxes and stuff you've got to store. I don't have a shed, so it's in my dining room. So me and my wife are like, my wife said, when are you going to get rid of all of this? I'm like, it's coming. And I just went to her yesterday. I said, see, I cleaned this off now. Now we have more space again. You just don't realize how fast some of this will blow up, especially when you're in your 2nd or 3rd year and you're seeing a swarm of bees and you're like, of course I'm going to catch them. That's $150 worth of bees. And now you're like, what am I going to do? Well, I guess I'm going to buy another box. And before long, it takes over a lot. So I wish I had a shed.
Let's go to this table.
I just installed a package of bees on the 6th, okay, and I've seen that the queen has been released, and I did my first inspection on Sunday. My question is, how often should I go back in now after I've done it? See that she's released, she's laying. How often should I go back and do more inspections?
Don't inspect it too much, but, right now, probably 10, 15 days initially. I don't think you have to worry about swarming right now. But next year at this time, you need to be in there frequently to make sure you don't have swarms. But you need to observe the outside every day, make sure they're bringing in pollen, the bees are flying. And you need to make sure they don't run out of food.
Can I address that? Okay. This is your first package, correct?
Yes.
I suggest you go in it twice a week and observe and learn what the bees are doing, so you'll understand their process of how they're building up wax, laying eggs, and building their community. You'll see when the nest begins to get filled up with nectar or eggs and larvae, you'll learn when to put on a box quicker rather than letting them fill up everything and swarming them. So while you're learning, because you're probably going to lose this first one, yeah, more likely. So I suggest you go in it twice a week, or if you like to, once a week, but go in to learn at this point, because there's a lot to learn. Observation is a lot of science, but also an art that you have to learn to observe the bees and see where they're headed. Are they going down in numbers and so forth? Do they have enough food and pollen? So that would be my suggestion.
Thank you.
I have a suggestion too. I think you should keep a pre-ring binder or a notebook or a pad or something, some way of recording the day, the weather, and what did you see? And most importantly, did you see the queen or did you see eggs? Because you don't have to see the queen. Sometimes you can't find her, but if you see evidence of eggs that are like just a few days old, then you know she's been there and likely she's still there. But like I said, mentorship is probably one of the most valuable things you can get. And by working in our apiary, you'll be able to apply what you learn here in your own apiary at home. And it'll make sense to you when you go into your hive. Oh, this is pollen. Oh, this is nectar. Oh, these are eggs. This is larva. This is pupa. This is a drone. This is a drone cell. This is a queen cell. This is a supersedure cell. This is a swarm cell. There's mites in here. There's small hive beetles. Whatever it is, you need to know how to read your frames.
Did you go to our high school?
Yes, I did.
Did you get a mic check yet?
Chris,
Okay, so you didn't get a mic check yet?
No. But I know how to buy.
Okay, you need to check for mics at least monthly. And report those levels. Because they'll get out of hand quick, and that's when you can lose your hive.
We didn't move from this thing.
Yeah, in terms of feeding a new duck, I've got the sugar one set. Can you get anything else for like protein?
They should put it, oh.
No, go ahead, answer. You got
I was
it.
gonna say, we're using basic nectar flow and all that. The only reason I would feed them human is just to make them very happy to be in there. I probably wouldn't feed them past one time. And as long as this nectar flow is flowing. Now, if it was June, I would say feed them, make sure they're pulling wax. Now, the advantage to feeding them sugar water is that they can pull wax after dark. Because they're not getting nectar after dark. That's one of the big advantages.
But no pollen,
Right.
not now, because small hive beetles will begin and just build up. We got lots of pollen coming in. You'll see some of your hives will begin to fill up the brood nest with pollen. There'll be so much coming.
This there. Yes.
I have two nukes, they're very small. First one, I'm going to the small. Of course.
Can you speak a little louder, please? I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing.
They're very small.
Both nukes swarmed. Both nukes swarmed?
Yes. But they're small, I think, because I didn't have enough room. I can't honey back, I was feeding through the water, so I've not got enough to like comb for them to move into. How did I get around that?
How long after you bought them did they swarm?
4 weeks and probably 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks.
Were you feeding them sugar water the whole time?
Yeah, because I've not got any good out current. So
You don't have any.
good out current. So
Okay.
I had 5 frames of current that come from the loop, and then I put in the rest was just combination. And fed them some sugar water, try and get them to build up the current. All I did was fill up all the space with
What ratio did you feed the sugar water out?
2 waters and 1 sugar.
Okay. That should work, but.
Well, the point was it's small because we trying to my question is, what can I do about that?
You can quit feeding. Don't feed the whole 4 weeks. Just like I told him, I would just feed them probably one time, one side, like a gallon depending on your feeder. If you took out a quart jar on the front, feed that quart jar and see how they do for the next year.
Why would you feed a new?
Make them happy. They, just to get them.
Cause I caught a swarm this week and, 4 days later I go in the hive and the drum frames that were in there already half full of that.
But swarm's different from a nuke now. Swarm comes prepared to drop lots of comb and put up food. So they're different from a nuke.
Can I ask you a question? When they swarmed, did they leave behind a queen cell and half the workforce? Okay, so it's not an empty box at this point.
No. The one new one, they were going to swarm from get over, so I had about 4 or 5 swarm cells on it, and I didn't really cut them out, I just left it, and see what happens. And that one, that had like, we went there like a couple of weeks ago, and you could hear the queen, she was killing everything else, I mean, she was a white boy, and I think she made it die. So that one, not to write about. The other one had, say, 4 or 5 cells as well, so I took some, I mean, that was a much better height. So I took some brood out of there, some sweet queen cells, I put them in a separate box.
Do you plan to put them in a larger box, or you plan to keep them in a nuke?
I put them in 8 frame.
8 frame, okay.
8 frames, I put them in 8 frame, and 5 frames are left in there, and I put in some more frames, undrawn over, basically something to do.
Well, when it comes to cutting out cells, I defer to Ron here. He knows how to pick out the right cells to remove.
Oh, I didn't come back. I let the queen sort of back. She was not happy.
That's why they swarm. It's because you left it.
Because the queen.
Too many in there, and you could have after swarms, basically. Were these swarm cells on the bottom of the frame or in the middle of the frame? On the bottom of the frame, they're swarm cells, yeah?
So you had run out of room, is that?
Yeah, doesn't shot, yeah. I look inside, and everything was just sort of next to the car.
So what you should have done is put more boxes on.
You needed to give them room. Whatever they need, you need to give them. So if they're out of room, give them room. Now.
Let's let Chris.
All right, so going back to the first question. Maybe it was a question about if we were doing it over again, what is the way to go? So I don't know how you put your nukes in, but I'm recommending to people that buy the nukes for me, because with the nukes that come from me, middle 3 frames are 100% brood. The 2 outside frames are generally, I'm usually picking those on purpose, because there's no brood in those, and they have pollen and honey in them. When I tell people when they take them home, that the three frames that have brood in the middle of the hive body that you're installing them in. And then surround those 2 frames of brood with frames of foundation, and then put the 2 frames of pollen and honey 1 frame out. And that way, there's bees on both sides of those 2 frames, and if we're in a flow, or if you're feeding lightly, then they should draw that comb more quickly than they would if you just kept the 5 frames in the middle. And then, if you're getting the nuke now and it's going to be 80, almost 90 degrees, I don't think you would hurt anything. You just stuck a frame of foundation in the middle of those 3 frames of brood. If you took a nuke home, this week when it's super warm outside. But when they're in those 5 frame cluster, they want to stay in a cluster and they don't want to travel out of those frames and start moving wax on them. Not necessarily, unless you're just getting an absolute surplus of bees in your nuke. But when they can work those 2 frames that you inserted in the 5 frame, inside of that 5 frames, then they're on both sides of them already, and they can work them without breaking the cluster.
That's good information. Those of you getting this from me this year, if they're like last year's, you're gonna have 5 frames of brood. So don't take 2 of that. You can checkerboard, because I think temperatures can be in the 80s.
You might want to explain checkerboard.
Checkerboarding is taking a frame of brood, just plain foundation. So a new frame. And just checkerboard. Do it every other morning. That's it. Questions from this table?
I got a question.
Yes.
Just like a lot of other people in the room getting a couple of nukes, yay, for new beekeepers. We were recently blessed, one of our hives is prepared to take a nuke, got occupied by a swarm last week. So we got a free box of bees. But my question is to brand keepers who are planning on a nuke, I now gonna have to deal with a swarm hive and nukes when the nukes begin this weekend. What are the two things I gotta do differently for the swarm versus the nukes? Or do I not have to do anything different?
Was it a big swarm?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the advantage you're gonna have is that big swarms will build a lot of colony very quickly.
They are.
And
Yeah,
you could
that's
actually, I mean, it may be something you're intimidated by, but if I was doing it, it would be an advantage to me to get some of that comb out that they haven't put any brood in. You know, if the comb is there, then that's comb that you could apply to the nuke, who's not gonna be as prone to building comb. They will, but they're not gonna be as prone to swarm it. And then, you can trade frames of foundation into that swarm, because they're still trying to build like crazy.
Kind of like equalizer.
Their root clusters are gonna be small at the beginning, so if you steal frames of comb nectar in it from them, you're not hurting. Okay. But you're not taking any root from them.
Something else, keep an eye on the swarm, because if it starts putting honey in the super, it'll do it super fast this time of year.
We haven't had, right now, so they're just brood boxes. I haven't done anything. She put in 1-to-1, but that's all we're at this point. But they're pulling comb very fast.
How many frames do you have pulled?
There were what, 3 frames pulled out of the 10 frames. Well, yeah, 8 frames. Well, we have a 8-frame or 8-high feeder 2-frame size. So there's 8 frames.
They're full of, probably a frame an egg. I mean, an egg are flowing out.
Yeah, it's all about the volume of bees. I mean, the big swarm will just fill the whole box in a week.
Okay, so I should put the next brood box on soon.
Honey super.
I'd probably take that feeder out.
Yeah, okay.
And you may want to put a super on rather than brood box, but it's your call whether you want 2 brood boxes or go ahead and put a super on.
Benefits, cons, pros,
Well,
cons.
you might get some honey this year.
From the swarm hive, but not necessarily from the nukes. Yeah.
It was crazy. Some people use a single brood box, some people do double brood box, and then the honey super on top. But whatever you do, make sure you put the queen excluder, otherwise you're gonna have her laying up in your honey super, and you're not gonna, and it's no fun spitting out larvae while you're trying to get your honey.
Thank you.
So this table. Questions? So, down the tables, does anybody, instead of going back around, does anybody?
I'm just curious, what kind of horizontal lights are you running?
We just built some ourselves.
Length stroke or whatever? it is?
Yeah, they hold about 30 frames deep.
And
We have one out here, by the way, in the front of the building here.
let's see.
It's actually a handicap hive as well, it's called that, so that was John's invention, it turned out to be really, really well, it can be elevated or lowered, and it can be good for children or people who are handicapped that still want to manage a hive, and it's a horizontal hive, it's really a great idea.
That's a nice operation.
What I like about it is you can adjust it where it's comfortable height to work.
Did you use a queen extruder with that somehow?
We have not put a queen excluder in there. We need to make one. I've got it sitting there, just haven't done it yet. It seems like as they get further out, it just seems to be nectar on the outer
Just
frame.
put that in a frame or something like that?
Yeah, which is a follower board with queen excluder holes drilled in.
Oh, I see.
Follower board is a plain piece of plywood, for example. Well, some people may not know when he says follower board. And if you don't have it, let's say you've got a 10-frame brood box, but you only have like 7 frames in it at the time. That's all you want. It's almost like you transfer a nuke into that box. And you're not ready to add empty frames yet. You can add a follower board, which which is a plain piece of plywood, and it will give you a large space on one side, which the bees won't even bother with. But then as you add more frames, you move that follower board over, add another frame, and eventually remove the follower board.
Queen excluders, pros and cons. I do a single brood box, so it's, call it all that obligatory. Queen doesn't want to stay in a single brood box, but I forced the queen to stay in a single brood box.
Definitely queen excluder, especially under the flow hive. My flow hive has one brood box, and that's all you use, and the flow hive is the honey super. That's all it is for. It's not for the queen to lay in or anything like that. It's strictly for honey. So you have to put your queen excluder there. You have to make sure you have a strong hive with a queen and brood and everything else. And what's difficult about that is that when you inspect that, you have to remove the flow hive so you can get down into the brood box to check what's going on down there. But definitely, anytime you want honey, you've got to use a queen excluder, unless you want to be able to pick out the individual frames. But you'll get a spot on a frame that's beautiful with lots of honey and one spot of brood. You can't extract that because you've got larvae and everything in there. So what are you going to do? So to avoid that little dilemma, use a queen excluder. The queen never gets up there. She never lays eggs up there. It is for the beekeeper.
The queen excluder for new beekeepers, don't put it on until you get the second box being waxed. They're putting wax in there, drawing out the comb. They'll never go up in there. You'll be swarming out your brood box, and your bees will be swarming. They don't want to go through the queen excluder unless you have foundation or brood or some honey up there. So that's going to limit you as new beekeepers. Don't put that queen excluder on until the bees are working up in that second box. Then you can shake the bees down. Be sure the queen's down, find her in the brood box, shake them down, put your queen excluder on. But for new beekeepers, don't put that on.
Yes, so if you do that and you've got a brood, you still got brood up at the top, that'll eventually hatch and then you'll clean it out.
21 days, it's hatched out, they fill it back with honey. You got little cocoons in there, be a little darker. You'll have to protect that a little bit more because of wax moths, because the wax moths will go after that more than your honey foundation. So suggestion, new beekeepers, new hives, don't put it on until you get them up into your boxes.
That is exactly what I do. I do 2 brood chambers, and then I start doing honey supers. Most of mine, I don't use the queen excluder on. But if one does, I have a very active queen, she lays in all first three boxes. I'll go out here and put a queen excluder. They're open within less than 3 weeks.
If you go to David Bailey's website, he's got some papers there written by Randall Austin. He talks about the queen excluder. That's an interesting read. I don't necessarily agree with everything, but there's a lot of good facts there. And so that's a good source. Randall Austin used to be the person in charge of the Master Beekeeper program, the State Beekeepers Association. So he's a very knowledgeable person.
Just reiterate what he said, that you can use the queen excluder, which is a valuable tool, but you cannot expect bees to pass through it to just start building comb. They won't even go up there. They don't have the incentive. And all it really takes is one frame. It can, like he said, it can be framed with brood on it, and that really gets them going through that. And once they have a reason to go through it, they don't care. It does keep coming out.
You can just trick them to get up there by bringing a fresh frame from below that's been drawn out, has resources on it, or has brood. But make sure it doesn't have drone brood on it, because if you put drone brood up above and then you put your queen excluder, those little drones are trapped. The only way to get them out is put an Nemiri shim on top, and that's a little opening. It's a frame about 1 inch thick. It goes all the way around on top. There's a little opening on one end, and the drones can get out. And bees can also use it as an entrance to reach the honey super a little easier. Instead of having to come in through the bottom and work their way all the way up to the top, they can just come to the top.
How do you clean your queen excluder? Everyone I see gets all packed up. Is it frogless or?
Device.
Yeah, just use a heat gun.
Beer, high to the right.
I don't worry about it too much. I mean, it
You
has
don't?
to be absolutely clogged 90+% for it. It's gonna really affect them.
They'll fill it up and take it out, and they won't.
Right. They
You don't have to worry about
They
it.
shoot through the same stuff that they make, so if they wanna get through it, they'll shoot through it to get it out of the way. What you're seeing is where bird column is touching the queen excluder, and then you're seeing it in the state you taking it off the highway. But when you put it back into a different one, none of that bird column lines up, and they get rid of the spaces that they want.
I don't do hardly do anything with mine except when I go to put it on a different hive and the comb interferes with the queen excluder, the burn comb. Then I'll scrape one or the other. Whichever's quickest.
I just did one for the high to clean it, but I didn't go through the thing, because I just, I don't know.
Don't let it fret you that somehow you're not cleaning, it's gonna. mess it up and say,
Doesn't have to be perfect. They don't-
Just stick it on there, let the bees take care of it, you know. Thank you. Two more questions.
So I'm gonna pick on the guy up here. So, can you explain your process for only using oxalic acid and how long you've been doing it and does it work?
Well, I basically do it since it started. I need to, what's the question?
For managing mites, I know that he only does oxalic acid, he doesn't use any of that, so I wanna know how it works.
Well, everybody, a lot of them up here are gonna disagree with me, but I didn't, when I got into it, I didn't wanna use all that synthetic mix. That was a decision I was gonna make, and for right or for wrong. And so I go through mine and check them. If I start seeing, mites come up, I hit them with OA. Am I ever gonna get down to 0 mites? No. But right before I go into winter, I hit them I hit them several times consecutively. And so I've had good luck with just doing it, but my goal was to hopefully get to some bees that ain't got to have all that treatment. I did do one time, I used formic and I hated it. I said, I'm never doing that again. I'm just OA all the time. Plus OA is cheap, and my wife gets tired of me spending money on bees. So there's other factors in here. My uncle built one of them vaporizers that I can use in 2 minutes. I can go out there and hit. My wife is all, why you be, you got other stuff to do today. It's quick, it's easy, it's cheap. And so some of the reasons I do it is for other factors, because my wife would basically cut me off from spending money on bees. So, but I can get a bag of OA for cheap. But I've had good luck with it. I don't really mite check, but I look at mine enough and I can start seeing when the mites are building up, and I hit them, and I'll notice on the bottom boards that there's covered in mites, and whether I get them all or not, I know I'm cleaning at least the bees off somewhat.
Okay, so when you do hit them, you just hit them with the one dose, you don't do like.
If I'm going to really go after them, I'll hit them about every 7 days for a month. I do that a lot during winter, but I've done it when I get ones that I start seeing that are might building up. I'll hit them every 7 days for a month. Anytime I catch a swarm, which I caught 2 swarms this week, I hit them with OA 2 days after. Once I knew that they were in there, I hit them with OA.
Oxalic acid works best when there's, because it doesn't go under the brood cappings where the varroa mites reproduce. Basically gets the phoretic mites, the mites that are floating around the backs of their abdomens, because they're exposed, so they get hit by the oxalic acid OA and they will die. But it doesn't do anything like the formic pro gets into the cells and gets rid of the varroa mites, but it doesn't injure or kill the larva, the pupa, and it
does kill unkept.
That's, I'm not saying it won't to some people, maybe it looks like that, it's hard to know, but the research, I understand, I'm just saying there's a lot of different opinions. Basically, if you don't over fumigate them, if you follow the instructions and whether you decide to use, and also the temperature is very important to know. If it's done at the right temperature, I'm sorry you lost your bees. I don't know what happened. I've used Formic Pro on all 11 of my hives, and they all survived. The queens are all fine. I used it in early February when the temperatures were in the 50s, 60s, and so forth. So I don't know whether that made a difference. But I wanted to kill the mites under the cappings And to me, that was important. Now, in the fall, would I use oxalic acid? That's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna get John involved.
But I also use OA for another reason. I have horizontal hives, and if you look at any label there is, basically none of the other stuff tells you what to do with the horizontal. Formic Pro tells you take all the, open it up, let everything out so that it can breathe. Well, my horizontal has a entrance that big. There's no expanding there. I can't, and so a lot of the labels aren't really, for right or for wrong, aren't designed for horizontal, but OA, you just count frames and hit it with that much. And so that's another reason why I use it, because I have horizontal.
And kind of a follow-up, since we got a couple professionals over here.
Pushing the times. Go ahead.
It's with OA, so kind of follow. Do you know where we're at on the sponges? You teach it, so you're pretty, like you travel to different countries and stuff.
Yeah, so, there is coming on the market when the state approves, so it's at a federal registered level, there's a product coming on that is oxalic acid, extended release, so it's gonna be, look like a hop guard. I've never used hop guard, but they're these cardboard strips, so it's gonna be a cardboard strip you hang over the frames, and you let it sit in there weeks at a time, with the idea it's constantly killing the adult mites, quickly after they emerge from the cell. And, so David Bailey says, certainly no sooner than August, we would be able to buy it in North Carolina, but maybe be able to buy it this season. And, but that's where we sit with that.
Is this stuff coming out of Brazil or something?
It's a manufacturer, but I don't know where it's manufactured, but there is one that's manufactured in Argentina, but I don't think that was the one that applied for the permit, so I think it's actually coming from somewhere else.
Thank you.
I think we have one. Did you have a question?
Just quickly, you mentioned single brood management. That's what I've decided to do with my hives. Just curious in your overwintering strategy, how you'd like to have it set up and how you have them come out in the winter.
So I'm keeping, like everything else, I just constantly experiment. So some of the people who took my class know that I started out on mediums, and I really still enjoyed all my days of all mediums, but at the scale I'm at, I just didn't want to keep buying so many extra boxes. I switched over to deeps, plus I'm making nukes for customers. So I switched over to deeps, but I had just already seen in double deep, the queen lays in the middle, and you get a lot of frames that never have brood, never touch brood. And so I just wanted all the brood to be in the same box. And a guy that did single hive management said 8 frame is fine for that. I already knew I didn't want to go to 10 frame. I was already an 8 frame person. So I just tried it out, and it's working great. The only thing is I have always so far prepared for them a super above the queen, a queen excluder all summer long. And that honey they make in the honey flow, that first super is theirs, and they keep it the whole year. And then I supplement feed if they start eating into that real bad. And then in November, I pull the excluder out. And hopefully I still don't have to feed them anymore after November hits. And then in the spring, I just got to get, at some point in inspection, see that the queen is either already in the deep again, physically move her back to the deep, keep the excluder in there right away again, and then boom, it's wall-to-wall brood. 7 out of 8 frames are using brood.
Can you go in as just singles that you're just not able to get that super on? Had any success?
Right, that's the part I'm gonna, I think, hit this year, because I'm expanding out from just, 40 or so many that I don't think I'm gonna try to give every single one a super of honey. So but I know that people are overwintering nukes, 5 frame nukes.
Right.
So it's like, it's an 8 frame nuke, if that's what you want to call it. And so I've just got to get feed on them, before the summer's out, so they build that capped honey. Because their brood production is already going down. So if they'll just go ahead and fill out the capped honey, then I think that'd be fun.
I do the same thing, except I use 10 frame. And I usually overwinter with shallow or medium with no queen excluder. So a lot of times I have honey left at the beginning of spring flow.
One more question.
Back on the light treatments. A little confused, I guess not really confused on that part, but I keep hearing that some people prefer the more natural, like synthetic. But it seems like all of them no matter what you use. I mean, hemlock is natural.
So what are the rights, it would be product.
Right, but I mean, even like process, like you can't even breathe.
Well, formic acid is in food we eat, and so is oxalic acid. So that's why you can have honey supers up there.
I got it, okay. Yeah, that answers.
Now, there is now that you're speaking of chemical treatment, there's a new Alcatraz that commercial beekeepers are using. It's a 7-day treatment versus, was it 42, I think, what we buy. But you gotta have the pesticide license, and it comes, it's like the cheapest you can get is like $360. Anything, any of y'all think new beekeepers need to know?
Right now, we're beginning to go into our fall for bees. I mean, we're going into summer months, June, July, August. There's not a lot of nectar out there. So what we're collecting now is our main honey flow. So you may have to feed your bees in June, July, and August. Just watch them and see if they stop brooding up any at all. And some breeds will just stop laying, and you won't see any eggs in there. Almost no eggs. So just remember that. Don't panic. See, queen's gone. You know, this kind of stuff. But you may need to feed a little bit in those months, unless you're next to cotton or soybeans as it blooms. Our main honey flow. Pretty not over, but it won't be much longer.
So that's good information.
You could have at the back of your hives, do that periodically so you know what they weigh. And then you get it into the earth and it gets really light, then probably should be feeding.
And that can go within like 3 or 4 days from my experience. It could be heavy one day, you check them maybe 3 or 4 days later, they can be really light.
Especially with the candy, because they like to stay rooted up most of the year.
You can watch and see how much they're taking, keep an eye on how much they consume, whether you use an entrance feeder or whether you use an internal feeder or top feeder. There's lots of options that you can use depending on what is comfortable for you. I like the top feeder with the 2 channels and the grid of wire framing in the middle. They kind of come up there and they can hang on to the frame and to the metal grid, and they can take as much sugar water as they want. And check it and see how much they're taking. If they're really taking a lot, they were really hungry. And of course, if you've taken honey off their hives, you're not leaving them anything. So they need to rebuild their stock. And unfortunately, what you're giving them is sugar water, which is not the great. It's not an exact, substitute for the nectar they would find out in the field, but it's going to keep them alive and have them get to the end of summer. And if you have a fall flow, then that's a wonderful thing, and they can start restocking that. But let them build up on that at that point, because in the dirt, there is nothing. There is nothing, especially if you just took the honey off their hives and you left them, very little. So you have to be careful not to deplete them completely.
I'd like to thank our panel for offering to answer questions. Be sure to come monthly. Most of these will be here every month, ask questions on the side. So, thank you. Let's see, Mr. Seth is here.
I was told that Seth actually calls his mom because of the beekeepers meeting. She came up Saturday and told me that he usually calls his mom on the way home from the beekeepers.
I do. It's been a long time since 7:30 this morning. I see a lot of new faces in here. So for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Seth Balance. I'm the commercial horticulture agent here in Johnston County. I work in this office. So like I said, it's been a long time since 7:30. I've been here just about all day. I work with commercial fruit and vegetable growers in the county. My responsibilities also include sweet potato growers, working with the Beekeepers Association, and doing pond management questions related to mostly aquatic weeds and some fish stocking. But my role here at Beekeepers meetings is I get up here and I do a farm report where I talk about what's kind of in season right now. And if any of you have been anywhere lately, you know that strawberries are coming off pretty good and strong right now, especially with these warmer days we've got in the future. We should be able to see pretty good crop coming along here in the next 2 weeks or so. I know the blackberries are also starting to flower. Blueberries shouldn't be far behind, depending on what kind of blueberries you've got. All your fruit trees are kind of following suit as well. So that's kind of where we're sitting at right now. So if anyone has any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer. All right.
Thank you, sir.
We're gonna run down the club announcements. Our treasury balance is $10,500. Ham Festival, Saturday, May 4th. We need people to sign up. Usually people do like a 2-hour window. If you really want some volunteers, 4-hour window. I think there was a link in our newsletter today, right? So the newsletter that came to you has a link for you to go sign up for it. And if you want to see what times are available, to pick a time. Club speaking opportunities. Okay, Watkins Chapel Baptist Church. They want us to talk to their homeschool chapel ministry about beekeeping and the importance of it. That's one of the churches we go to regularly, right? Once a year?
No.
That's a different one. The other one's like white church. Okay. Come and see me or John if you're interested in helping new members to help with community outreaches. Probably at least once a week, we get emails from either a homeschool group or a church, or I know one year we got a request from the, what is it? Widow and Widowers Club of Johnston County, which was basically going to the bowling alley and meeting widows and widowers, talking about AIDS. So different clubs want different people to talk. Apiary Day is coming up on April 18th, from 10 to noon, and it's back here behind the ag building. So you can sign up on, is that sign up? So that, on Wednesday of last week, you can check your email.
But you can still come if you don't sign up.
Yeah, you can come, you can still come if you don't sign up. You have 2 members?
No, you gotta sign a release.
Just sign the release if you're not a member.
You need to sue or something. You need to come a little bit early so we can get your suit. We have a limited number.
This is always a prime opportunity to learn something. A lot of what I had to learn was by making mistakes and not doing it again. Okay. John, are you going to do the FFA plant sale report?
Yes, this past weekend, we attended the FFA ag event in Cleveland School, and we also went to the plant sale at the Cleveland, was it the District Park? Is that what it is? It's a good venue compared to last year at the rec center. This is much better venue. We had $580 of credit card sales and $631 cash deposit today. So we did really well. We about sold out honey. Well, we sold out honey in Clayton. We sold a good portion. And then Terry Richards and Jason from the Tractor Supply, they sold some honey. And what was it, over 300? Yeah, it was over 300. So we did pretty well. And I'm going to let Jason talk here in a second. But these events is where you meet people and you find out what you know, confirms what you know. Because when people ask questions, you've got to answer. But it's a lot of fun, especially with the kids. We had an observation night at Clayton, and they really enjoyed that. And with respect to handing in, in fact, we're about out of money to let Jason talk.
So first of all, I did go to the Tractor Supply. They had a flop swap. They had a chicken event. I guess they wanted somebody to sell honey there. So we tried that out. We answered questions about keeping meat So I definitely encourage anybody to participate in that event. It was not difficult questions. It was very, very easy to help people, just tell them where you're from, what we're doing, and, take their money for the honey. So it wasn't that big of a deal on that. What John is talking about is that we are basically out of honey. We're not in the apiary yet. So if anybody does have an extra bucket of honey that they still have left over that they want to sell to the club, please come see me and let me know, and we can purchase that from you. Follow that up.
Can I ask you a question about selling honey? What are we going to do with all this money? You got $10,500 in it?
Fantastic.
So why are we making all this money and we're not doing anything particularly?
The board has discussed options for donating that money. We talked about scholarships. We talked about getting some additional supplies, and we definitely will have some movement on what we're going to do with that.
I asked for an instant pay for people to check out, and the board wanted to approve that. That's $500. Okay. That's, if you're going to sell all this honey, provide something for the club members.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I'll take that back for sure.
Because you're competing with Al and myself with honey sales. Makes sense back here. So give the members something that, is benefit for it.
Yes, sir.
One of the questions that I had, John, that balance, does that include the money that y'all made this past weekend? Okay, so that's an addition.
No, but it doesn't include the stuff we want for the acre.
So there's some minus and plus.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yes. Point taken, Ron.
That's a lot of money. I mean,
Yes, and.
you want to buy my honey cheap and sell it.
Yes,
I'm not for that.
I agree.
You're not benefiting the members here.
Yeah, and being a kind of a not-for-profit club, we do have to be careful about what you mentioned. I think we could spend on, we've done research, what we can and can't spend on. Two of the things we've talked about is Dr. Tarpey's stuff, and granted, it doesn't help our club immediately. But the big price, point taken.
Okay.
And
All right.
Ron, that was going to be on the agenda last board meeting, but we canceled the board meeting. We didn't have that much going on now. Other people had some conflicts.
I'm just asking to do something for the club.
No, I agree.
Don't just bank it and leave it.
Yeah, because the Ag Center is nice enough to let us keep an apiary here. We don't have to like look at maybe buying a plot of land where it's keep an apiary.
Hey, Al.
Uh-huh.
Look at the purchase of right there, paper, $500. I make a motion for paper,
What do you think, John?
I can't hear. what
He's
you
making a
said.
motion to buy the vaporizer. Because it is above a $300.
The only thing I want to point out about the instant vapor or propane is you need to have a real big respirator. You need to understand what's going on. There's a liability issue there. That's one thing I'm going to say. I have one myself and I love it with different people.
So we'll bring it to the board.
What's the difference in that? The one vaporizer, you need a vaporizer for that as well.
The one vaporizer, when you stick it in and turn it on, it takes a minute to heat up and walk away. With the propane or the instant.
But you still won't back up to it if you're not getting away from the airflow, this kind of
Right,
stuff.
it's still a risk.
So,
Well, we do have the respirator for it, but,
It must be fine.
but let me be quiet. I'm sorry.
No, Ron, take your piece. I mean, you're probably more experienced.
You can write this down. I know John's not gonna forget this, but right for the next board meeting.
Y'all want something else? We got a motion on this now.
Well, it's still really a business meeting. That's why.
Got your members here.
Yeah, next month we'll vote on that. We bring it to the board, to the members. This is because members who aren't here can't vote this
But if y'all want something else, you want us to do something else, let us know. We don't know, we can't read your mind. Feel like
And you can submit any information you want to send through, we have a contact form on our website. And Adam gets that to me and John. Whenever he gets it. Okay. If anyone is working on their German or masters and would like to speak, do a presentation, because you have to have credits to apply for that. Let Terry Richardson know, which she had to get home tonight, but you can also use that contact form on the website if you're interested in get their journey. Changes to 4-H.
okay, 4-H has changed direction again, and now they're saying that you all don't have to go through the training and the background check as long as there's a couple of number one people there, which would be someone from that ag center here or on the level one. So we're done with all this training here in sport that we were doing for the past couple of years. So it's a lot easier for members to participate in 4-H. So I'm just telling you that, so when we ask for volunteers for 4-H, don't think like it was until recently where you had to go through training. You don't have to do that anymore. So it'll make working for 4-H a lot easier. We have a 4-H event coming up in May. What, do you remember what date that is? Which one? The 4-H event. Yeah. I think it's 17th, but I'll confirm it.
It's not the 17th of May.
What's that?
I'll get back to you.
May 17th.
I think this one is supposed
So next month, Jason will be talking about drones and his expert knowledge. He probably knows more than anybody else in here about drones, so. Apiary report from Anna and Rick. Would you like to come up here? Listen to how our apiaries work.
All right. As y'all heard, we've got one coming up Thursday. Last Thursday, the weatherman was calling for a washout, so we felt it was best not to do it. The apiary is growing, we're catching swarms. They're not all of our hives swarming, but they are swarming. We have just recently gotten some more 5-frame nukes. Boxes and such that we're going to be putting down there. It's easier when you come to go through 5 frames than it is to go through a 10-frame box. Okay. So we're going to try to get everything other than what's up front is going to be either 10-frame or the 5-frame to make it a little easier. Again, catching swarms, we're going to raffle off one nuke tonight. We caught so many, I bet y'all caught one yesterday. So we're gonna raffle off 2 nukes tonight. So. Okay.
to go ahead and do that now.
Everybody got a ticket out?
Everybody also tickets, one or interested in two things.
So they got a party, you get 6 tickets for $40.
It's not just.
Everybody's ready.
And it's gonna do the drawing.
And you got 30 days to get your.
But we rerouted it.
8911091.
Like it or not, yes.
Got 891103.
Before you leave today, we'll see these, so I can get your number so that I can text when you're ready or ready.
Next is Beekeepers Corner, Q&A.
Biggest takeaway by the Beekeepers Corner is you need to have supers on. You've got about 6 weeks to make your honey crop between now and 1st of June when dirt starts coming in. So, this is where you're gonna make your honey. Make sure that you don't not make that honey because your hive swarms. It gets crowded in there, you need to add boxes. And you need to stay on top of the situation in your hive, because you've got swarm cells in there now. You got swarm cells, you can decide what you're gonna do with it, whether you do a split, or you're gonna knock them down or whatever, but there's a reason why they're one swarm, because they're crowded. If they're backfilling, rotating with the nectar, then there's a problem, they need more space. Questions about what should be going on there?
Guess not. Okay. I'm adding something at home. We know 2 people got their notes, one note. We're sold out of notes. I've had a few people asking, Ron, you still have notes?
Yeah, I have medium and deep
Okay, so if you need notes,
with this year's swing.
talk to Ron. I do have.
Chris may have some as well.
I'm scared I won't get any honey if I keep selling these.
I'm gonna have some Russians, I've got a few.
So Johnston has some Russian notes. Anybody else have any notes? And I have a couple of queens. If anybody's wanting to do splits and immediately give them a fertile queen. So. Anybody else with anything they want to offer up to the public?
This isn't for me, somebody asked me, just to do these, I don't have any honey. Got a friend of mine, he's trying to do some, bridal shower gifts, I guess, so he's got 45 2-ounce jars. And he wants to fill them up with honey from somewhere, preferably local. If anybody wants to sell 90 to 100 ounces of honey, he's willing to fill up the jars himself, but needs a place to get that amount of honey. So if you have any, just let me know, and I'll give you your contact information. Thank you.
All right. So, kind of to wrap things up, the board is hearing members, all the members. So our next board meeting, we'll be talking about some stuff, and be here next month. We'll have some stuff to discuss about.
Anybody that wants to attend the board meeting, let me know, and I'll include you on the email. So if you, there's nothing secret or about it, you can have discussions, I frequently get overruled, so.
Okay. So we're gonna adjourn tonight. We don't have to, we do need to put everything out. So yes, hope to put the chairs and tables up. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, I didn't do that. Really, that's Because he's going to New York. Thank you.
We've tried that.
Yeah.
I can make it. Put them in the dirt. Walk them in. Put them in the car. This morning at sunrise. That's an air conditioning is for.
I keep seeing those Portofino stores. I'm told there's somebody else in there. So.
Okay, good.
Which they should be. So that really, if you hit just store that. If you go.
Good seeing you. I'll probably see you around, I'm sure. Oh, yeah. Did I worry about that?
There you go, see, that's gonna get you right back to business. Yeah. It's frustrating. There. So don't mind. I was going by there tomorrow, so I'll just put it in tomorrow. These are
I just told him to do.
So, kind of, but differently.
How much of it's for plastic? I got big balls up for you. Just hang on to that all over. But that's not ordered. And I don't know.
Okay. What happened to it tonight? Tonight, because I ain't gonna be able to see it. Take a drop of water. You know, tree falls don't turn out. Stick your finger to it. Especially with the weed. Is it?
Well, it's a bad way. What we no, it's
so that you can see.
This is my key. Okay. Because I might do it myself.
Yeah, we have well, we have lots of weeks.
Whole weeks. I got about 20 weeks. So
What do you think about the change for it?
that's it.
Oh.
Is that for our club?